first attempt at the title. At number 1, Arthur Ashe at the 1968 U.S. Open.
Good afternoon. Bud Collins, along with Jack Kramer, with you at Forest Hills of an extraordinary event in tennis, the first U.S. Open.
When Arthur Ashe came into the U.S. Open in 1968, he had just won the U.S. Amateur title. Yet no one considered him a contender for a major title in the first year the amateurs were able to compete against the pros.
Arthur Ashe came into Forest Hills for the first U.S. Open. Prize money involved.
He had no pressure on him at all. I mean, he came into the tournament. No one expected Arthur Ashe to win the first Open.
He had played for a few years already. I mean, we knew who he was. We knew that he was a terrific player.
Arthur could beat anybody on a given day, or he could lose to a bad player if he was mishitting. All the elements, as they say, the stars were aligned. Everything fell in place. There were a lot of upsets, and he just took advantage of that opportunity.
Arthur got through his first 4 rounds handily, beating his opponents in straight sets. With luck on his side, Arthur got his big break in the 4th round when his good friend Cliff Drysdale took out number 1 seed and tournament favorite Rod Laver.
That was a big upset. I mean, people felt that Rod was the best player and probably would win on grass, no question.
So that's a feather in my cap. That was really good news for Arthur because Arthur always used to clip me, which he did in the next round. 4 sets, takes me out. That opens the way for him to win the tournament.
After Arthur beat Drysdale in the quarterfinals, he went on to defeat a fellow American, Clark Grabner, in a tough 4-setter.
He kept mowing through the field, wiping people out, and finally got to the final against Tom Okker.
Tom Okker, a Dutchman and a fixture in the top 10, had a bit of a magical run himself, taking out heavily favored pros Pancho Gonzalez and Ken Rosewall in 2 stunning upsets. He would battle it out against Ashe in their first Grand Slam final appearance.
They fought for 5 sets. Fantastic match. Okker looked as though he was going to win several times.
Got it!
But Arthur kept at it, moved to the net. He was volleying beautifully.
You know, it was a tight match that he didn't expect necessarily to win, although Okker was not a great grass court player. He was a better, really, defender, clay court player, where Arthur had a big whip backhand and a big first serve.
Suddenly, he was the U.S. Open champion.
It was the first time anyone had won the U.S. Open Championship where it was pros and amateurs. And the irony of it was the first prize was $14,000. But Arthur was receiving, you know, a per diem from me on the Davis Cup team as an amateur, so he couldn't take the prize money and didn't take the prize money. So Tom Okker, who was the runner-up, got the first prize.
Although Arthur was unable to collect the spoils from his Cinderella U.S. Open victory, he later went on to earn his dues over the course of a charmed career.
Arthur's whole story is a Cinderella story. You know, winning the U.S. Open, winning Wimbledon in '75, beating the great Jimmy Connors.
Not just a great player, but a guy who could make you proud by the way he carried himself, and not just on the court.
And so we close these chapters on enchanted runs for U.S. Open titles. For some, the fairy dust lasted only a few moments early in their careers. For others, the spell has yet to be broken. And while the magical moments on the court can't last forever, for all of these Cinderellas, the memories of what they accomplished will live happily ever after.
About 3 months later, out of the blue, the USTA called me and said that at Christmas, a donor, an anonymous donor, had sent $15,000 of stock, GM stock, to Arthur as a gift to make up for what he didn't get at the finals of winning the tournament. And I don't know to this day, nor did Arthur, who that donor was.